Hey, it's Bill. And you're tuned to the Pennsylvania Rock Show featuring the best unsigned rock and metal that Pennsylvania has to offer right here on PARockShow.com, MegaRockRadio.net, 1047 FM, St. Louis, Missouri. I think I might have messed that one up today. 107.1. Oh, I don't remember it. It's been a day, Brian. 107.1 FM, St. Louis, Missouri. That's it. XRP Radio, which coincidentally I will be taking over tomorrow. XRP's radio.co.uk in Birmingham, United Kingdom. I'll be taking that over with Jonna from First Angel Media. We're going to be playing some music from Western Pennsylvania, and we're going to put up against some poppy stuff that they play in the UK, and we'll see how that goes. Also, altrockradio.ca in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. On the beaches of San Diego, we have Rootaroo Radio. It's rootaroораdio.com. And right here in the thriving metropolis of Leechburg, Pennsylvania, with our two red lights, buildthescene.com. My name is Bill. This is the Pennsylvania Rock Show, episode number 565. And with me tonight is Brian Genovesi. What's up, Brian?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Once I remember to call others. So I did forget to mention we got to keep it like PG-13. Both because it does air on an FM station and because my Catholic school 8th graders are aware of the show. So first of all, I want to start off with the SOS PGH Concert Series, being a sponsor and involved in it from about midway once the song was written. I'm curious what brought you in, like when you were approached, what about it made you say, yes, I'm going to do that?
Oh, it was a great idea. It was a great cause. It was desperately needed. Everything was really bad. 2020 was really tough on all musicians and sound guys, lighting crews, everybody in the music industry. So when I first saw it come up, I was hoping someone would ask me to be a part of it. And then I got the call for season 2 for the songwriter part of it. Yeah, it was.
I, as you noticed from my intro, I'm kind of a rock and metal guy. And coming into this season, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this one. And I thought it was every bit as good, if not better than the first season. I told someone I was watching Jazz Night while watching the Penguins, and it was the calmest I've ever been during a Penguin game. But I really enjoyed all four nights this season. It was also season week 4, Metal Night, is the first show that I've been to in person since February of 2020. So that was a big deal for me. When Skell started playing, I teared up.
Well, that was my first. I mean, I know there was, just the bands were only the ones allowed in, but that was my first time inside on a stage, with sound system and lights and everything, over a year.
My last show I went to, I was there kind of, I don't want to say on accident, but the story when it was Frank Vieira, who's a local country act. His band is very, very tight. I wasn't real excited that I was going to a country show, and then once I was there, I'm like, these guys are great.
Anytime good musicians, man, it doesn't matter what kind of music they're playing.
But the reason I ended up there, he had booked Jonna from First Angel Media to come in and do a photo shoot that night. And she got food poisoning, and all of the other photographers that usually go out were out at other shows. And I had been doing photography for years, but I've never went out and done an actual show to be paid. So that was my first ever freelance show. And there for a while, I thought it might be my last.
Add it to the resume.
But I got really excited after I left. I was like, that was so much fun. And then a month later, everything shut down. And I was like, but I wanted to do that.
Yeah. Well, that was the same thing. I released my CD at the end of January 2020. Had the release party, played again, and I guess it was February. I had a show, and then that was it. That was it. Everything canceled. I had like 30 shows that got canceled in 2020.
Well, I don't want to say new, but relatively new in the scene. It's like 3 years you've been playing, if I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, by myself. Yeah, 3 years by myself.
So you were in a band before that?
Oh yeah, I've been playing in bands since I was 12 years old.
All right, so then you've been all over the scene then.
Yeah, yeah, for a long time, man. Most of my life.
What were some of the bands you were in? Let's see if I've heard of any of them.
I'm sure you haven't. I was in a band called Aftermath. That was the first band I was in with the. I was by far the youngest person in the band, and we had trouble getting gigs because of my age. I sat many a shows beforehand, sitting with the bouncer, waiting. But I was in the One Eyed Daddies. That was probably the most successful, longest band. That lasted for a good 12 years, and then just little bands that never really even, we'd be together for a while, and then they just split up, and that was why I just got frustrated with trying to deal with bands, and just started doing it on my own, and actually have more fun and more success with it now than I ever did.
Now, were you writing when you were in those bands?
Oh, always. Like, that's my favorite part of music, is writing it. I love performing it too. I love getting that energy from the crowd and, putting it out there. But there's a lot of work and nervousness and everything that goes in with it. But without a doubt, my favorite part of music is writing it.
Now, let's talk about the writing process a little bit. How does a Brian Genovesi song get started and work its way onto an album?
Well, it's really hard to describe. They just come, like I constantly write. I always have journals with me, or, like my memos app in my phone is completely full. Anytime anything comes to me, I write it down, I keep it, and I play my guitar every single day for as long as I possibly can. I do the same thing. I record every groove that I come up with, and they kind of develop, and a groove will have a certain feel to me, whether anger, sadness, happiness, whatever. And then I look back through some ideas in my words, and they kind of connect, and it's like, these words sound right with this, and then I take it from there. And something that it really takes me. I'm always writing, so I always have something in progress, but it really takes me a long time to get to the end of a song and be like, that's it. That's how it's going to go. I do have tons of music, like it's just a matter of putting it together in the right way.
So I promised you that the first half of this was going to be off the wall, and then I gave you normal questions to start.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So this next question, I recently watched a documentary about Robert Johnson, the blues guitarist, and the story about him supposedly going to the crossroads and making a deal with the devil. So I'm going to ask the question that way, but really I'm just asking you what your main thing would be. So, like, a lot of people kind of hesitate when I ask it the way I'm going to ask it, so don't panic.
No problem.
So, if you were standing at the crossroads waiting for the devil to arrive, why are you there? What are you going to ask him for? What is worth selling your soul for?
Honestly, nothing. I wouldn't be there in the first place.
So
music is about my soul, so not only because of my religious beliefs would I not be there, but I mean, my music is my music. It's me. It's part of me. Probably the most honest part of me. I want to keep that clean.
Let's stick with the movie theme for a little bit. You're sitting on a bench, kind of like the scene in Forrest Gump where he's sitting with the box of chocolates.
Hey, Forrest Gump.
And he sits there and he's talking that woman's ear off. If you were sitting there with a musical muse, someone that you would, that you really look up to as a musician, what would you be talking to them about? Like, what would you ask them while you're sitting on that bench?
Oh, wow. That is off the wall. First of all, it would probably be like Jimi Hendrix or Frank Zappa. With Jimmy, I guess I would want to know where he just got his inspiration. Like, what drove him? I mean, he's the most soulful player out there, like really feel what he's playing. Something I've always loved. And Zapp was just such a great songwriter, orchestrator kind of guy. My brain doesn't work on that kind of level. I guess I want to know how he does it, what he thinks of doing it.
All right. So still along that theme, if you could go back in time without breaking the space-time continuum,
Of course not.
because we don't want Doc Brown yelling at us.
We don't.
And you could follow around any band or artist for a year just to take in the essence of what made them who they are and bring it to the stage once you come back to your current time. Who would you follow around?
Oh, man. I would, without a doubt, say Frank Turner. I know he's underrated, not very well-known musician, but that guy plays, I forget, I think he's on like show almost 3,000 or something like that. He numbers his shows. The guy just plays constantly on the road everywhere. He's from the UK, so he's, all over the world, not just the country. A great musician. His shows are so fun. That would be a show I could watch every
night. Yesterday, I recorded an episode. I was a guest on another podcast. It's the Ludini Rock and Roll Circus, who were very familiar with you when I mentioned them. And they were comparing Elvis Costello and Joe Jackson. And, I know quite a bit about the rock and metal local scene because that's what I listen to now. I mean, I've been doing this for 16 years, so I didn't have a lot to say in the comparison. And they asked me about what I had to say about Elvis Costello, and I was like, look, a lot of times I wonder what goes into them coming up with their stage names. And he has, like, once I saw his real name, I knew what went into that.
What is his real name?
It's like, it's Declan something. I can't remember the second word. It's 4 names. It's Declan something Aloysius McManus.
Aloysius.
So if you had to pick a stage name, what would your stage name be?
Oh, man. It would just be Brian Genovesi. I don't know. It would be too weird to pick a fake name.
I sometimes tell my students that my name is no longer Mr. Damiano and they have to figure out what it is. I'm not answering you until you figure it out.
Good way to get a break.
Let's say, and this isn't a long stretch by any means, let's say there's an apocalyptic event and only a handful of humans survive and they have to repopulate the earth. And along with them, only one of every band or artist's songs survives. Which one of your songs should survive and take part in repopulating the earth?
It's one of my newer songs. It's called The Moment.
And why that one?
It's one of my favorite songs that I've ever written. I really like the message of it, which is just to appreciate right now, exactly where you are in your life, whether it's good or bad. Just this is the only important part. The future isn't promised. Tomorrow isn't promised. You don't know. I mean, best. It's a maybe. The past is gone. It's not coming back no matter what you want. So right this very second is the most important thing. So do what you want to do. Live life.
So live for now.
Yeah. So I think that'd be appropriate.
Yeah. If you could play with any band in the history of the world at any location, who would you want to play at and where would you want to play? And when I say any location, the first band I ever asked this question, they said Stonehenge, to give you an idea of where we are.
Was it with Pink Floyd?
No, it was with Dio.
Oh. Again, I'd have to say Frank Turner just because the shows are so fun. And I've watched his concert at the Reading Festival with, 300,000 people. That would be my choice.
That's a lot of people to stand up in front of.
But really, I mean, I don't know that it matters to me how many people are there. I don't know that my nerve level gets any higher based on the number in the crowd.
So tell me about an embarrassing moment. And it could be when you were a solo act or in a band that happened while you were on stage.
All right. Well, probably the most embarrassing is actually the first time on stage with this band called Laid Back Manor. And we played at the Electric Banana. And we had a drummer that was not very good. And we were doing Manic Depression, which is, the whole song's in 3. But he was the drummer, and he wanted to start every song, but he would always 4 count the song. Instead of, 1, 2, 3. Da, 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 he would hit 1, 2, 3, and he would go to 4, but everybody else.
So starting on 3.
When it's supposed to go. And we practiced the song a million times, and it happened 60% of the time. We were right before we played the song. It was like, all right, let's do this right. It's a 3 count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And bang, he starts at 1, 2, 3, 4. We start on 3, and it just falls apart instantly from the very first show. And the bass player was like, all right, and put his hands up and put them right through the drop ceiling.
Whoops.
So that was probably the worst start to any show I've ever had.
Yeah.
And it kind of just puts you in this spot and then you had a whole set to play now. You hope it only goes uphill from there.
I mean, I couldn't go much further down. I once had somebody answer that question. They were playing in a dog park. And one of the dogs came over and relieved itself on the amp.
Man, I would love that gig. I would play at the dog park every weekend.
All right, so this is an ongoing question. I'm trying so hard to get Dave Grohl to come on my podcast.
Wow.
Because I want to talk to him about the Foo Fighters bringing people up on stage. And I also want to talk to him about, his early history in music. And there's so much you can talk to him about.
Career with Kurt Cobain.
Yeah. But for some reason, no matter how many times I tag him or the band or try and track him down, they never respond. I even emailed his management. No response.
Not even
not even a no, he can't do it. Just ignored. So then what I started doing was asking this question, hoping that somebody's going to say, hey, there's this guy who's asked this question 150 times. Why don't you go talk to him? So the question is, who is your Dave Grohl? In other words, who would you want to go up on stage with and play one of their songs with them in front of 300,000 people?
Well, yeah, I mean, I like Frank Turner, but I would probably say Pink Floyd for that.
Which song?
Comfortably Numb.
Playing guitar or singing?
Singing. I'm I'm no Gilmore. It's my favorite blow on the face of the planet. Like I listened to that thing a million times. Just a great song.
What's a song that you didn't write that you wish you had written?
Oh, there's so. Oh man, I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. There's so many songs I love that I listen to almost on a loop. You know, I have all these songs on my phone. A lot of them are, you know, like I said, Frank Turner's recently one of my favorite new artists, but I love all music from rap and old country, and yeah, that's hard to say. I say, why can't I write like this? Man, why can't I sing like that?
I couldn't help but notice that you said old country, and I think that we may have a connection there, because every time country comes up, I'm like, you know, today's country is really just pop.
It is, and it's a weird pop. It's an extra pop.
Yeah. Like I often mention Tim Horton on the show. Or yeah, Tim. Man, I messed it up. The War of 1812. What else did he do? It's in 1814. We took a little trip.
I know
it's
the song. I don't know who.
I think it's Horton. And then like Johnny. What's that?
It's definitely a musician, Tim Horton.
It probably is him then. And then like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, and I'll go up to like Garth Brooks and Randy Travis. And
you ever listen to Jerry Reed?
No.
Man, that dude can play a band or play a guitar.
I mean, I'll have to look him up.
Yeah.
But just a little past, like, you know, Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, you know, that's pretty much my stopping point. Anything past that, I can't.
I recently started liking Garth Brooks. A friend of mine turned me on to him. Like I never took him very serious until I really listened to him.
What got me with Garth was he covered a Kiss song.
Oh yeah, what song did he cover?
Oh, why can't I think of it? It's a ballad.
I'll have to look that up.
It's not Beth. It's Hard Luck Woman.
Oh, okay.
It's on an album, a tribute album that Kiss put out.
Oh.
So like they contacted people and said, "Hey, will you play on our tribute album?" It's called "Kiss My Ass." There, that'll make it easy for you to find it.
I can remember.
And then the album cover is a family eating dinner, and they all have Kiss face makeup on.
I feel like I've seen that. Picture.
All right, so what we're going to do now is tonight we're going to feature the song "To Whom It May Concern." Tell me a story about that song.
When I wrote that whole album, the album is actually called "To Whom It May Concern." I was in a dark spot in my life. You know, I made some mistakes that I was trying to own up to, and it's basically where that song came from. You know, I was really down on myself, and it just kind of came out. So it's a personal song. It's a very true song. I try to keep everything in my music as, like I've explained it, I'm as true as I can possibly be and honest in my music, but I don't ever really like to explain the full capacity of it. You know, like I keep that for myself, and I also think music should be open to interpretation, because those are the songs that mean the most to you. You know, like you hear a song and you can completely relate to it. That's a song that you hold, and might not necessarily whoever wrote the song might not necessarily have written it in the capacity that you're taking it. You know, so I think over explaining a song is not like any good. It doesn't do any good. So, but that's it's just me coming clean and being honest with myself about myself.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and listen to "Whom It May Concern" by Brian. Yeah, try that again. By Brian Genovesi. We're also going to listen to "Heart Sick in the Basement" by Steve Hawk, and we'll be right back with Brian. All right. For those of you that are watching live, and we're getting some thumbs ups and some hearts. So there are some people. You're not actually going to get to listen to the songs here on the Facebook Live because Facebook likes to mute videos that have music in them, and that wouldn't do us any good. So what you'll want to do is go to buildascene.com on Friday morning at 6 a.m. or after, and it'll be right on the homepage. You'll see a picture of Brian hanging out there. You click on it, and it'll take you to the podcast. Or if you are someone who would rather listen in the evening on Friday, you can go to buildascene.com/radio at 8 p.m. and listen to the very first broadcast on all the streaming stations right here on Build the Scene. And then it's broadcasted on multiple stations throughout the week. So, if you miss it, you can catch one of the other ones, but I don't know the dates and times off the top of my head, but they are listed on the Pennsylvania Rock Show podcast page on Build the Scene. So you can do a little searching and learning more about the local scene on that website because I put a lot of stuff there. So now we're going to come back in, Brian, as if we listen to it, and I'll ask a couple more questions. Okay, that was To Whom It May Concern by Brian Genovesi, who is hanging out with me tonight. And then right after that, you heard Steve Hawk's song, Heartsick in the Basement, which Steve has talked about on one of my podcasts in the past. So if you want to check that out, do a search on buildthescene.com for Steve Hawk, and you hear him talk about his song. Hey, Brian, so I kind of mixed it. I gave you some normal questions and some off-the-wall questions in the first half, so I'm going to mix the second half too.
Okay, great.
So Christina Stanovica, who's the lead singer of the Shadow Event,
okay,
has hung out in the chat of the video quite often, and she comes up with some good questions. So I always point out when I'm asking one of hers, because mine are off the wall and I don't want to get blamed for her off the wall questions. So this one is a Christina question, and it's, if you were going to be put into a cartoon series that already exists, which cartoon series would you be in, and which one of those characters would actually play you?
SpongeBob.
That was quick.
He's like my favorite actor on TV.
That was really quick.
Yeah.
How'd the pineapple get under the sea?
It's just like one of those things we talked about. It just is.
Suspended belief.
It's just there.
And the other question I have is, it's Mr. Crab that owns the place that sells Krabby Patties, right?
Krusty Krab, correct?
Yeah. Is it crab meat that's being served?
I would assume so.
That's kind of odd.
I just look at it like a crab cake.
Okay. So along those lines, not quite as off the wall. If you were going to be acting in a documentary about a musician, which musician would you want to do an interpretation of? Don't have to look like the person.
Right, just to know the whole story, like, is that what you mean?
Like kind of like
I would play the part of that person.
Yeah, right. Like Machine Gun Kelly played Tommy Lee in
probably this might sound weird, but Kurt Cobain. I admired his songwriting. I liked his music, and I really don't know his whole story, like the personal side behind everything that happened in his life.
I don't know if I've ever told this story on my show. I was at I probably shouldn't tell it.
You have to.
I know. I was at in service years and years ago, teacher in service, and it was on using computers, which clearly I can do. And it was like a week-long thing. And I got bored. So I ended up spending most of the day researching what happened to Kurt Cobain and trying to get through the conspiracy with Courtney, and so I should have been paying attention to what was going on in class, but instead I was learning about Kurt and Courtney. And I still don't know what happened.
Yeah, blame you. Yeah, see, I don't really know the whole story, but yeah, he was just, I don't know. It's amazing to me, you know. It was came from nothing, you know, and got to make everything out of music. I just don't get how it could be that bad, you know.
I still there aren't many musicians that I remember the first time I heard them, but Nirvana I remember.
Yeah,
I was sitting on my parents' front porch. I was early teens, maybe late teens, with the next door neighbor grandson, and he brought it over. He's like, "Listen to this," and that was it. I was like, "Yep, I like this."
yeah. See, I came from, like, when I was younger, I grew up listening to a lot of just different punk rock and stuff like that. So, and then it kind of just changed to metal and thrash. So when that sound came out, yeah, it was something that grabbed me right to the whole Seattle scene.
Now, like for me, the album that got me into rock was Destroyer by Kiss.
Yeah.
I have uncles who are not that much older than me. I have an uncle who's 5 years older than me, and another one who's 9. So I spent a lot of time with them growing up, and that's what they were into. And that when that Destroyer tape went in, that was it. I was like, this is what I want to listen to, not that stuff my parents have been listening to, which was all the country that I was listing earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, I went from listening to like the Police and Michael Jackson, and then I heard the Misfits. Yeah. Then leading into like Shout at the Devil, and you know, and then Metallica. Like Metallica was another one of those bands that kind of changed life.
That's another one that I can pin down the first time that I was like, I like this. It was the Black album.
Mine was Master of Puppets. Was the first. That was the first Metallica song I ever heard, and was just like just blown away. I was like, this is great. I didn't even realize I had music out before that.
Well, I was playing football in high school, and we were working out, and one day somebody put in the Black album, and it just played on loop. And for the whole summer, we worked out to Metallica, yeah. and it stuck with me after that. And then I went back and looked at the back catalog, and I will say though, I can't do Saint Anger.
Yeah,
that drum sound.
I kind of I think it was after. It was actually before the Black album. I started, not that I lost interest in them, but my style of music, interest in music, sound was changing again. You know, like I just lost interest in that sound.
So I used to teach social studies, and 2 years ago I was flipping through the book, and I found a picture of a person who looked exactly like my college roommate. And clearly it wasn't, because the guy passed away in 1958. But my question is, if I was flipping through a social studies book and I found Brian Genovesi, how did you get in that book?
I'm sure it was something nefarious. Being shunned for something. Man, I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that question, to be honest with you.
It's a hard one.
Yeah. I don't know how to answer that.
That's I numerous times people have turned my questions around on me, and I'm like, I don't know.
Be for doing something stupid.
Did you watch Metal Night for SOS?
I didn't.
So I ended up talking to Utah in between the first two bands, and he said, he goes, and now it's my turn to ask you questions.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I've known him, wow, 2000. It was the first year he was in Pennsylvania. It was early 2000s. So it's been at least 20 years. But he did end up. He's like, we don't have time for that. I was like, no, go ahead and ask me one. And he said, okay, if you're gonna build a band from 5 musicians in the music scene, which is one of my questions, who would you pick? And I went, oh, they're all in this room. That's easy. And of course, the band members ate that up. Utah wasn't all that happy about it. He was like, well, I guess you were Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, kind of a shit question because the only
it's tough. I mean,
because I know so many. I would love to play with all of them at any time. You know,
like,
like there's not 5 that I would say I only want to play with these 5 guys. There's so many good musicians in this area. It's just such a hard area to get people to come. You know, like they're more interested in seeing cover bands. Like cover bands do great in Pittsburgh, but when you're playing original music, it's a tough draw, man. It's hard.
I am one of the things, and it's been a while since I live about 50 minutes from the city. So it's been a while since I've gone to a show in the city. But the one thing I noticed was that, like, especially like on Carson Street, there are all those bars. So you they spread the crowd thin. And
yeah, but like back in, like, I don't know, in the early 2000s, late 90s, I mean, they were always packed though. All those bars, every single one of them. There's 100 of them down there, but they'd all be packed, and there was the premier places to play, and it depended where you were playing, how many people were going to be there. Like Nick's Fat City back in the day. I mean, that place was just packed every night. You know, every night they were open, they were packed, no matter who was playing. And so that was always fun. And you had the Rex and, you know, the Smiling Moose. And, you know, they always get a good crowd. They always just have people in there, or did.
That's the first time the Smiling Moose came up on the show, and it wasn't about the steps.
Well, I can honestly say, as a solo acoustic act, the steps don't bother me.
Every time it comes up, it's about the steps.
Yeah, it is a bummer. Well, even back then, they had the stage down on the first floor too. You know, people had to like squeeze past you to get to the bathroom, but
how about name a couple of your favorite venues? I won't make you pinpoint one, and I'm sure you have lots of them, but
yeah, I mean, like current ones that are open. I mean, Moondogs is always a great place to play. Club Cafe is a really good room to play. Those are 2 places that I like a lot. But lately I've been playing at this place called Bloom Brew out in West Newton. It's just a great place. It's outside. It's right on the river. Great beer. They always have a great food truck there. It's just really relaxed. It's just a really cool atmosphere. You know, it's a fun show. And plus I get to play as long as I want. I play 3-4 hour shows out there.
Are you from the Mon Valley?
No, I've been born and raised. I lived my entire life in the South Hills of Pittsburgh.
I teach in the Mon Valley. I don't live there, but I teach in the Mon Valley.
Couple weeks on the 14th, I'm playing out at I can't remember, the Taps Brew. I think it's called Taps Brewery. It's in Monongahela somewhere.
Okay. I teach there. I'm not all that familiar with it. It's an hour drive there, an hour drive home.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if that's the name of it.
So what other shows do you have coming up? And it feels so great to be able to ask that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm playing the 14th out in Monongahela. I'll have it posted on my Facebook, you know, all the details of it, but I know it starts at 7. And then the 21st, I'm playing at that Bloom Brew in West Newton. And that's right in the heart of West Newton, right behind the fire hall. And that's 5. That's like 5 to 8. That's an early show, but always a good one. And then I'm playing there again in June. And then in July, I think it's the first Saturday. I think it's the 10th, July 10th, right across the street from here in South Park at the K-Dogs rally. They're like an MC, and they're sponsoring, and they're they raise money for anti-bullying things.
Okay.
So they're having a party over in South Park.
That is definitely something I can get behind. Having kids of my own and teaching.
It's a very cool group. Yeah, they're bikers that help kids with bullying.
Where can people find you to get a copy of your music, your CD?
Well, they can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm signed that album. I'm signed through Super Monkey Recording Company, and you can go to ilovesupermonkey.com and look under artists. I'm under there. You can order the CD there, or you can even just hit me up on Facebook. I can mail them out too. It's the same process.
Super Monkey is one of those people that you can kind of do the 7 degrees of in the scene.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody's been a part of that band or a part of that recording company.
Well, it's Lou, who I was on his show last night, played in that band at one point.
Yeah, and Rocky from the
Borstal Boys, and Matt from A Common Crown, and 30,000 other bands.
Matt's another one of those guys you can do.
Yeah, Matt actually, when I first started this show, handed me a big plastic bag full of CDs and said, "Here, play this music." So he's a big part of how this got off the ground.
Very cool. That's a good story.
His band was the first one I ever designed a website for, which is what set all of this in motion.
Cool. Good guy. Yeah, and he plays in like at least 5 different bands that I know of.
I think I saw him post last night 6. Let's see if I can do it. Common Crown, After the Fall, Borstal Boys, Super Monkey, Murano. Oh, I got 5. I wonder if he's counting Slant 6 still, because I think they're playing this summer, maybe.
I was counting Slant 6 in the 5 that I was talking about.
All right, well, there's 6. I wonder if those are the 6 he's counting right now.
I don't know, but yeah, he's always busy. He's always working.
I asked him one time how he finds time to play in that many bands, and he just said, "I just like to play the drums." That's pretty straightforward answer. Last question, but probably not. It could be easy or it may be really hard. Can you pinpoint that moment when you realized that you wanted to be a musician?
Oh, yeah. It was the first time I ever saw a guitar. It was the very first time I saw a guitar. Like, I've told this story before. I told it on the Grassroots show. I was 9 or 10 years old, and I was hanging out in my front yard, and there was a kid, probably a teenager, walking up the street with a guitar case. And I stopped him and asked him, I was like, "Is that a guitar in there?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm selling it because I got money down on a new guitar, and I'm gonna sell this to get my last payment to get my new guitar." And he opened it up, and it was this bright blue Flying V Cort. It was a Cort guitar, and I always remember it. I had that thing forever, and I bought it off of him, and my mom was pissed, and it was a waste of money, a waste of time, and I just sat in my room. He showed me the very first song I ever learned was "Rock You Like a Hurricane," and that's
some Scorpions.
Yeah, that same kid showed it to me. And do you know Jeff Yeckel?
I do not.
Well, he is a very great guitar player, and my sister knew him, and he taught me crazy. First, I learned the whole way through the guitar solo and everything, and I just never put it down. And then my mom finally gave in and got me lessons. Bought me an amp.
There's
probably her biggest mistake was the amp.
In the next room over, there's a 3/4 Fender in the closet. I still have hope that it's going to come back out of the closet. It's my son's room. He is big time into music and wanted to learn guitar. And there was too much going on and something had to take a back seat, and it was the guitar. And he hasn't really gotten it back out yet.
It wasn't because he wasn't interested in it. It was because he was
No. He currently plays the trumpet. He taught himself how to play the fife. He plays the harmonica. He can play the piano without lessons. The first lesson that I took him to for a guitar, Jeff DeFalco, who plays he used to play in Glitz. He's currently in the Thieves. He's a pretty good guitar player. He took him back, did his first lesson, brought him back out to me, and made the mistake of saying in front of my son, Bill, that's the best first lesson I've ever had. He was like, he played 9 chords today. And that was the end of him thinking he had to practice. But he still, even with his trumpet, he's really good with his trumpet. Like his music teacher wants him to join the Pittsburgh brass band.
Oh, that's cool, man.
But he doesn't practice.
I went to Kappa when I was in high school, and we had to, every year you had to learn a new instrument. You had to have another instrument as a major for the year. And I loved playing all those things. I never got a chance to get good at it. You know, it was, and especially at the time, because I was young and kind of stupid and didn't appreciate the opportunity I was getting to be taught these instruments. And I just did as little as possible to pass. But
I'm not laughing at you. I'll tell you another story.
I can talk on the water on pretty much every instrument I've ever touched.
So that's kind of like how computer programmers, everything, the first thing they learn how to do is how to make it say hello world. For you, it was how to play Smoke on the Water.
Made it a point to learn. And just the chorus, not the whole song.
So here's why I laughed when you said you did the bare minimum. At part of my education major, this is probably another story I shouldn't tell. I had to take an intro to children's music class. And part of the class was a lab. And we had to go in and learn how to play the piano. Well, I didn't want to learn how to play piano. So I sat there and watched my partner play the whole semester. And then they came off with, oh, by the way, your final is you have to play a song on the piano. So I crammed the night before the test. And I played This Old Man. I missed the one note and I got an A. Can't play a single thing on the piano. I could have learned. I was too stubborn.
Yeah, see, and that was the way it was for us too, but we had to learn. Every teacher had their song that you had to learn. And by the end of the semester, you had to be able to play that song. I don't know that I ever played it flawlessly or only made one mistake, but they were always very lenient on it.
Well, it was, we were told we could pick our own song, but it had to include a hand slide at some point. So he's
in position.
Yeah. And that was the easiest one I could find at the last minute. And like, I numbered my fingers in my head and memorized what numbers I was supposed to press and how many keys I typed pressed it before I had to slide.
It was mathematics more than music.
Yeah, I really, when I was done and she was like, you only missed one note. I was like, really?
Was it 3 or 7?
I don't remember. But, so I know I said I was only going to ask you one more question, but, if you today could talk to that boy who first saw that guitar, what would you tell him?
Learn music theory. It's a little more serious. Yeah, I wish that I would have stuck more with that.
That's a weird ending.
No, honestly, I mean, I like that was the bummer part of music. Like that was the hard part. That was the not fun part. So, you learn it because I've been playing for ever, over 30 years. So you do learn stuff over time, but there's so much more that I wish I knew. I always was like, I know so many people that are, hardcore theory guys that they know every note, chord, scale that there is. And I listen to them play and they just kind kind of sound boring. Like there's not a whole lot of feeling, and I'm kind of the opposite. I just play with feeling, and I don't have much theory or knowledge behind what I'm doing or why it sounds good. And I know if I did, I could do so much more. Like I was easy about it back in the day, and now it's like kind of brained.
We're gonna end on this note. One of my fifth graders every day at the end of the period says to me, "There's always tomorrow to look forward to."
Yeah.
So
that's a fifth grader that says that to you?
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. That's good.
So I'm gonna pass that on to you and tell you, you still have time. You could start learning.
I know, I do, and I even took up lessons again a couple years ago, and then it got too hard to find the time for it, and quit thinking, I'll get back to it again when things slow down, and it's been like 5 years.
That's why I said I hope that guitar comes back out. But that was the same thing. He was Boy Scouts. He was taking band lessons after school. He was playing guitar. He was playing baseball. He was playing basketball. He was and he has twin sisters, they're only 2 years younger than him, that were also doing band and basketball and musical, and
he's running around for a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah. But hey, Brian, I want to thank you for hanging out with me on episode 565.
Appreciate you playing my stuff too. Really.
And I don't know if you saw this weekend, I did add it to the radio station too. So if anyone would like to listen to it not on the podcast, you can go to buildascene.com/radio and you can request it there as well. And website.
I don't have an individual website, just Facebook.
Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook. I have my personal page, my music page. It's at Brian Genovesi Music. And I have YouTube. I have every one of my songs that I've ever played or written is on YouTube. There's hundreds of songs on there, all video of them. So.
And it's Genovesi.
Correct.
So make sure some people end up checking you out on Facebook and giving you some likes and subscribing on Facebook, subscribing on YouTube. See, I start out bad and end it bad.
But it was awesome in the middle.
That's right. All right. So once again, this has been episode number 565. We're going to play some more of the best unsigned rock and metal that Pennsylvania has to offer. When you hear John, the American Hilljack Lane, you will know that this episode has ended. That does not mean that you need to jump off the radio station that you're listening to. Almost all of them are going to play unsigned music for you, including Mega Rock and 107.1 FM in St. Louis. They play a mixture of unsigned and signed, so make sure you hang out and support all of those stations. Also, if you're on buildascene.com/radio, there are a list of sponsors going down the right-hand side, including the Noble Hops Band, 97.7 Rocks Show, the Grassroots Show, which we mentioned earlier, the Band Jam, which is the concert that the Grassroots Show puts on every summer. See if I can do this from memory. It's terrible. DI Records out of Pittsburgh. Wolf's Customs. That's wolfscustoms.online. They do... they customize instruments. They do a thing called Hollow Flash, which is this very colorful, flashy. It's really cool, and I do a terrible job of describing it. But check them out at wolfscustoms.online. Chris Thunderwolf Dotson does the Hollow Flash, and then his wife, Raven, they have coolest names, does customized painting on the instruments. So check that out. I know I'm forgetting somebody. There's 9 of them. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to buildthescene.com/radio as I talk to you, because I really don't want to leave anybody out. And I misspelled it. I misspelled radio. Rattleclack Entertainment. And Endeavor After LLC. And that's all of them. Endeavor After is a they do shirts and masks, business cards. They're a printing company located, I want to say, it's like right where Robinson Township and Coriopolis meet. So, go, even if you're not going to listen to the radio station, which is my ultimate goal, go there, click on those logos and check out the sponsors. Show them some love for me. And like we mentioned just a little bit ago, go to Brian's Facebook. It's facebook.com/Brian Genovesi Music, and show him some love as well. We'll catch you next week on episode 565 on Friday.